Jessica?
Oh my God.
Come here. Come
No.
here. Come here.
I didn't do nothing.
Come here.
There's some shit that went down. No, I didn't do nothing.
Hey, stop. Stop. Stop it. Stop it.
I'm scared,
Stop
you
it.
guys. Ah!
Get in here, Jeff. Alright, relax. Relax.
My
Stop
leg.
flipping.
My leg.
Stop it. Stop
You
flipping.
guys.
Hold her
Stop.
hand. I got her.
My leg.
Why'd you lock the door?
Somebody just started a fucking fire and went over the fucking balcony, dude.
Look, there's a tent sitting here.
Ah!
Hey, sit down. Sit down. Sit down. Sit down. There's a tent. Stay right there, okay? Did you jump out the balcony?
Huh?
Did you jump out?
I just fell off the top.
Who did?
I did.
Okay, why'd you jump?
Because. See?
Whose apartment is that?
I don't know, I ate away.
Okay, deep breaths. Relax. Relax, okay?
No. Oh, my leg.
Okay. Because you jumped, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's what happens when you jump off the second story.
I panicked because he fucking had me.
Well, we said we were the cops.
I was scared, dude.
Well, jumping off the balcony is kind of extreme. What'd you say?
I'm panicking, dude.
Okay, what were y'all fighting about? What were you fighting about?
She woke up and asked where her daughter was.
Uh-huh.
I don't know where she's at, dude.
Okay. No, we got her. She's in another apartment.
Huh?
Did you hit her? Did you hit her?
Huh?
Did you hit somebody?
She hit me and I hit her back.
She hit you first?
Yeah.
What'd you hit her with?
Huh?
What'd you hit her with?
My hand.
Your hand? Stay on the ground. Don't get up, okay? Whose apartment is that?
That's hers.
What's her name?
My leg.
Okay, we got rescue on the way. We'll check you out, okay? So whose apartment is that?
That's my cousin Fabian.
That's your cousin Fabian, and who else?
Michelle.
Michelle, is that his girlfriend?
Yeah.
Is that the girl you're fighting with?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I wasn't really fighting with her. She woke up, started screaming, and I said, hey, dude, I can't find your daughter, dude. Somebody's in here, dude.
You drinking last night?
Yeah.
Any drugs? No?
Just 10-42.
Dude.
When you put her in the car. Hey. Okay, do we bring my car up then, or?
Hey,
put her in your car, man.
Okay.
Come on. She's got a...
Dude, the child's 10-7 inside.
Okay. Stay with her, Chris. Okay. Let me bring my car up, or do you want to bring yours up, man?
Put her in your car.
Okay. Let's go. Get up.
I'm getting up.
Get up.
I didn't do this, dude.
Get up.
Ah!
Walk to my car.
I can't do it.
Walk.
I can't. My leg's broken.
Walk.
Walk! I don't care if your leg's broken. You're gonna walk.
I can't walk, dude. Hold on.
You're gonna
My leg's
walk.
broken. I just got thrown off the fucking balcony.
You
dude.
didn't get thrown off. You jumped off. I saw you close the door.
And you told me you jumped. Come on.
Dude, my whole leg is broke though.
Keep walking.
I'm trying.
Go ahead.
Can you advise what we're looking at here? Male, female, close breathing?
Walk.
No.
Female 10.
No. Don't tell me that I have kids of my own, dude.
Doesn't matter. Just pull it. Just pull it.
Hey, dude.
Pull it, dude. It doesn't matter.
Walk. Walk.
Walk!
I'm going, dude.
Keep walking.
My leg.
Keep walking.
My leg.
Go.
Dude, I'm trying.
We'll get you help later. Let's go now.
Oh.
Who else was in the apartment with you?
Another guy. Oh.
Where's the other guy?
He took off. He started trying to wipe blood up. And I started panicking.
Who's the other guy?
I don't know his name. They call him Locote.
Police say Kelley was on a meth binge that night when Michelle Martens and Gonzales, who is Kelley's cousin, left her alone in the apartment with Victoria earlier in the evening before Victoria was strangled, dismembered, and set on fire. As one officer talks to Kelley to get her side of the story, a couple of other officers go into the apartment, not knowing what they'll find. When they finally come out, their demeanor is changed. They seem upset.
Put it in your car, man. You're gonna
My leg's
walk.
broken. I just got thrown off the balcony.
You didn't get thrown off. You jumped off. I saw you close the door.
Kelley tells them there was another person with her in the apartment.
Who else was in the apartment with you?
Another guy.
Where's the other guy?
He took off. He started trying to wipe blood up. And I started panicking.
Who's the other guy?
I don't know his name. They call him Locote. I wish I would have knew what the I was getting myself into, dog.
What she got into turned out to be one of the most horrific crimes ever in New Mexico. Jessica Kelley is one of 3 people accused of killing 10-year-old Victoria Martens and cutting the child's body into pieces.
Put me away for life.
The night of the murder, police reports say Jessica was acting weird. Her cousin Fabian Gonzales told police she was asking if he believed in Jesus and hit him in the head with an iron.
I wish I would have been up.
In a jailhouse recorded conversation with a friend that's filled with profanity, she implies she wasn't on drugs the night of the murder.
I wasn't even I was like, no, I'm not doing no shots.
Police reports say another suspect in this case, Victoria's mother, Michelle, told detectives Victoria was given meth to make her relax while Jessica and Fabian Gonzales had sex with the child. Court records show Jessica Kelley has a history of arrests involving illegal drugs. Fabian has 1 drug arrest, but it was dismissed.
And then your cousin, bro, what the f*** is he thinking?
I don't know, dude. I don't get high to go do. I get high to tweak.
Even though 3 different police reports state the little girl was given meth before she died, medical examiners refute that, saying Victoria only had alcohol in her system. Jessica seems interested in what that autopsy says.
Public, have you read it?
Huh?
The autopsy?
Yeah, no.
It's public.
When police got to the apartment, they say they found Victoria's body on fire in the bathtub. And they say Jessica Kelley was jumping from the balcony of the apartment.
I slid off the fucking top, fool. Like, I didn't, jump.
They make it seem all f***ing bro. Man, this is dumb.
I slid off, fool, and I f***ed up my right leg. I, jammed it together, you know. I broke my ankle, my leg, and f***ed up my, joint. Because it all shattered.
And these jailhouse phone calls, Jessica repeatedly tells her family she believes she will get out of jail and be back home. In one conversation, her mother says Jessica was at Victoria's apartment that night for a reason.
Maybe God had you there to expose Fabian, and I think that's what it is.
Rachel Scott says she had just moved into this West Side apartment complex with her family 5 days before 10-year-old Victoria Martens was murdered. The day before the crime, she met her new neighbor, Michelle Martens.
She invited us to her Victoria's birthday party that next day at 2 o'clock. And she asked if I had kids, and I said, yeah, I have some kids. And she's like, well, bring them, more the merrier. Victoria will love to have kids around.
But that birthday party never happened. Victoria was murdered. The morning she was supposed to have the party, at 4 a.m., Rachel and her husband heard someone banging on the door. It was Fabian Gonzales. He wanted them to call 911, saying he and Michelle Martens had just been attacked.
The guy's at our door saying he got beat up pretty bad.
Then she says Michelle showed up at her apartment covered in blood with a gash on her head.
Giving her a cloth to put on her head, a wet cloth to put the pressure on her forehead. She started wiping herself with the cloth with her legs. The dry blood.
Rachel said Fabian had a black eye and a bloody sock. While they waited for police to arrive, Rachel says it was surreal.
Was she crying? Was she?
No, she had no emotions. She didn't have no emotions. They didn't have no emotions.
Rachel was worried. Victoria wasn't with them.
That's all she kept saying was, I think they hurt my baby, they threw my baby in the dumpster, and no emotions at the time.
As the morning went on, like all of us, Rachel learned Victoria was dead, brutally murdered, and the 2 people who had been in her apartment accused of doing it.
There's always going to be a why. is going to always be a why you came to our door.
Of 10-year-old Victoria Martens' death and what police have uncovered in the 3 weeks since her horrific rape, torture, and murder. The search warrants in this case show Michelle Martens, Victoria's mother, told investigators multiple men had sex with her 10-year-old daughter, Victoria. The warrant says Michelle Martens met 2 of those men, including Fabian Gonzales, on a dating website. She told detectives she met another man at work. According to the documents, she invited the men into her apartment to have sex with Victoria and possibly another child in the house. She told officers she would watch for her own gratification and may have recorded the sex acts. The warrants also say police took multiple items from the home, including a large bag they believe was filled with drugs, phones, iPads, a video recorder, and a safe. The warrant says when officers got to the apartment on August 24th, they found Victoria's body in a bathtub. She had been dismembered. Her body was on fire. And the documents say police officers searched not only the apartment, but areas around the apartment, including trash dumpsters, for the remains of 10-year-old Victoria.
Albuquerque police had a report that one of Michelle Martens' boyfriends had tried to kiss her then 9-year-old daughter, Victoria, in the months leading up to her murder. News 13's Jessica Kelley on special assignment has uncovered who that man is and what APD would have uncovered about him had they acted. Jessica?
Dean, APD told us they didn't think the kissing incident was worth investigating. But Victoria Martens' grandparents say had they looked into it, they would have found it was this man, the same man accused of trying to kidnap a little girl off the streets.
She was dating David Hernandez.
Through their attorney, John and Pat Martin say their daughter, Michelle, was living with this man, David Hernandez, 5 months before the murder of 10-year-old Victoria.
She did what she could as a small child to tell adults, help. She basically said, help me.
March 2016, a family friend tells us she called CYFD after Victoria said Hernandez kissed her. CYFD turned the tip over to Albuquerque police, who never investigated.
An adult man kissing a young girl and that's dismissed as not important to investigate? I mean, to me, that's shocking. But then if you go further and know what they knew in their own files, they would have been able to connect it and say, this guy is a pedophile.
Attorney Jason Bowles says had police bothered investigating, they would have found they arrested Hernandez in 2013. Police say he snatched a little girl from a parking lot, led her mother and officers on a long chase, later crashing. He let the girl go. He was arrested.
APD dropped the ball.
Earlier this month, the Martens filed a lawsuit against the city. Right after Victoria's death last August, Michelle Martens would tell detectives Hernandez had raped Victoria.
It's our information that he was sexually assaulting Victoria, not just kissing her. And that's something APD should have found out, should have investigated, and taken Victoria out of the home.
Bowles suspects APD discovered who he was after the murder and kept it quiet since.
Do you think they know that it was David Hernandez, the same David Hernandez?
I strongly believe that they knew, that they know, and that's why they've lied to the public.
APD and the mayor's office would not go on camera, but the mayor's chief of staff says APD, including Chief Gordon Eden, had no idea it was David Hernandez until today, and says police chose not to investigate the report of the kiss because Michelle had told CYFD she had kicked her boyfriend out, a boyfriend she never named at the time. 5 months later, police would charge Martens, her boyfriend, and his cousin with the rape and murder of Victoria.
They absolutely could have prevented her death.
Now, of course, 2 APD spokespeople are accused of changing their stories about how the department handled the investigation into the kiss. The city says the FBI has been investigating Hernandez and another man to see if what kind of contact they had with Victoria. Dean?
All right, thanks, Jess. So what happened to that kidnapping case against Hernandez? The DA's office dropped the charges in 2015 after failing to get evidence to Hernandez's attorney in time. He would go on to cause more trouble. In April, he is accused of fleeing from a deputy.
The brutal murder of a 10-year-old girl left her community outraged and demanding justice. Will the truth behind Victoria Martens' death ever come to light?
There's a little girl inside the house.
How old?
How old is your daughter? 10. Oh, yeah, she's 10.
Police discovered 10-year-old Victoria Martens' body dismembered and on fire inside an apartment in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
It was August 2016. I got a text early in the morning from a source of mine who said this is the worst homicide he had ever seen and that a child was mutilated.
Nancy Laughlin, a reporter from Albuquerque news station KOAT, has been following the case since the very beginning.
The information that day that we were told is that Victoria had been so brutally killed. I mean, she had been literally chopped up and set on fire. Her body parts were put in bags in different parts of the apartment.
The whole thing is beyond anyone's conception that this could happen, especially to a little 10-year-old child.
Within hours, they arrested her mother, her mother's boyfriend, and his cousin. They were all three at the apartment.
Victoria's mother, Michelle Martens, Michelle's then boyfriend, Fabian Gonzales, and Fabian's cousin, Jessica Kelley, were charged with multiple felonies. The charges included child abuse, murder, and sexual penetration of a minor.
That day, what we were told was her mother told police that Victoria had been drugged, that she watched her daughter get raped and murdered. The first responders were horrified.
I've been involved in the criminal law for over 30 years, and this is the most inhumane case I think I've come across.
When the news of Victoria's death hit the community, it hit hard. Government officials and citizens alike pushed for changes in legislation, including the return of the death penalty.
My personal belief is we need the death penalty for those limited and horrific circumstances.
They're predators. They're molesters of children. And I'm asking that the FBI step in and investigate and prosecute this case through the United States Attorney's Office.
When Victoria's autopsy report was released in November 2016, it revealed she had been strangled to death. Some of the details put Michelle Martens' version of events into question.
There was no meth in her system. And that was something that I thought was unusual because the mother had said that they gave her meth. And they kept, investigating. January rolls around, there's a new district attorney, and he brings in some very seasoned detectives to review the case. They're looking at all the cell phone data and all the, any technology that they have there. And then it turns out as the evidence comes back, it's not matching what she's saying. So as the investigation continues, they figure out she gave what is called a false confession.
For more than a year, police investigated the false claims made by Michelle Martens.
The information that was guiding the initial investigation and the charging decisions in the case were based primarily on that statement. And we now know that that statement is false.
Her defense attorney was just saying that it's very, very rare, but Michelle Martens, she's a people pleaser. So she's asked a question, she's going to answer whichever way she thinks that they want to hear.
It was completely made up. And so they went down, the investigators went down this road based on what the mother had told them, and that road turned out to be a complete dead end.
This is what they believe happened. So she gets off her school bus, she goes to the apartment, Fabian Gonzales takes her to a gas station, they come back, Fabian Gonzales and Michelle Martens, cell phone data shows that they leave the apartment. According to police, they go buy some drugs from one of his relatives.
Cell phone and detailed Google location data corroborated those eyewitness accounts and definitively placed Michelle and Fabian outside the apartment at the time of the rape and murder.
They leave the little girl with Jessica Kelley, Fabian Gonzales' cousin, who had just gotten out of prison and was staying at the apartment and has a long, violent criminal history.
Jessica Kelley's prior convictions include battery and assault of a police officer, among others.
Jessica Kelley, her version of events is that Victoria was in her bedroom, that the door was open. She says a man she didn't know came into the apartment and killed Victoria. Then he leaves. Then Fabian comes back with Michelle Martens, and they keep Michelle occupied. She doesn't check on her daughter. As the hours go on, investigators believe that Jessica Kelley and Fabian Gonzales chop her up. They put her body parts in bags throughout the apartment, and then they set her on fire.
I wish I would have knew what the I was getting myself into, dog. That put me away for life.
In addition to the cell phone data and new testimony, investigators also discovered male DNA on Victoria's body.
There was partial DNA found on Victoria's back that didn't match Fabian. Now, his DNA was found in other parts of the apartment, but on Victoria's body, there was partial DNA from another male. They checked with all the first responders, didn't match theirs. So it's a partial DNA, so it's really difficult to match.
There's a lot of emphasis that's been put on this unknown male, but at the end of the day, what do we know other than Jessica Kelley's story and the fact that there is some DNA, male DNA of an unknown origin?
The murder and sexual assault charges against each suspect were then dropped. In June 2018, Michelle Martens pleaded guilty to 1 count of child abuse resulting in death.
Mr. Martens, how do you plead?
She faces up to 15 years in prison.
I think it should be a wake-up call if you're a single parent and you invite strangers into your home when you have kids. Michelle Martens, Victoria's mother, she had met Fabian Gonzales on a dating website. She didn't know him very long. He has an arrest record. She lets him move into her apartment with her 2 children, her daughter and her little boy. Soon thereafter, his cousin gets out of prison and he says, hey, my cousin's going to come live with us too. So she allows 2 people that she does not know very well to live with her children. And her little boy was with his biological father the night that Victoria was murdered. So by the grace of God, he wasn't there.
No contest.
In January 2019, Jessica Kelley agreed to a plea deal of no contest to multiple charges, including child abuse resulting in death.
The state says that she helped dismember her, that she set her on fire, that she lets this strange man walk into the apartment. He kills the little girl, and then he leaves.
Kelley will be required to testify against other suspects in the case and won't have to face a jury. She still faces up to 50 years in prison.
Just upset why they let her even take that when they should have served justice and took her to trial and found her guilty for what she did.
The sense that I get from the community is that there's a lot of frustration. They feel like there hasn't really been justice in this case. But I don't think a lot of people understand that's more than a life sentence here in New Mexico. A life sentence here is 30 years.
The things that has sort of haunted me from the beginning is this notion that we would be forced into a place where we wouldn't be able to hold everyone accountable. Either because of the evidence and because of the facts. We now have Jessica Kelley's cooperation, and I believe that that case is significantly strengthened.
Gonzales and his lawyers maintain his innocence. He is now charged with child abuse resulting in death and tampering with evidence.
The attorneys for Fabian Gonzales maintain that he didn't have anything to do with her death. It was a small apartment. They say he was woken up and didn't know what had happened to Victoria, and he ran out.
Gonzales was released from jail in November 2019, awaiting a trial date.
The reason why this is taking so long for Fabian to go to trial is prosecutors want to bring up what they say is his past, his ties to gangs and ties to drugs. Well, the judge in this case said no, so they're appealing that.
The news of Gonzales' release sparked outrage in the Albuquerque community. Residents responded with protests in Victoria's name.
He's letting them out, saying that he's not a threat to society. I mean, we're talking about a horrific murder.
We're her voice, and we gotta speak up.
If nobody's gonna do it, we have to do it.
We're just waiting for the court to make a decision, and there's no timeline. So in the meantime, he is out in the community.
We want justice for Victoria!
While the search for Victoria's killer carries on, the community continues to honor her short life and ensure her name is not forgotten.
After her death, they had some memorials at the park and at her school. There's a bench that's put up at her school. Her classmates, they did a lot of artwork after her death. The community, on the anniversary of her death, they pay tribute to her.
Thank you to the residents of Albuquerque, as well as statewide, for your cards, flowers, makeshift memorials, as you paid respectful homage to our precious angel.
In August 2019, Albuquerque residents joined Victoria's grandparents and other family members for a memorial service in honor of what would have been her 13th birthday.
Happy birthday, dear Victoria.
She was a beautiful person inside and out. To remember her as the beautiful person that she was, I think is just as important as trying to set the awareness for what led to this.
Everybody that is guilty of it needs to be held responsible. This was a child. I mean, her life ended way too soon.
I really hope that the community can heal, because I know, I've interviewed the neighbors and the teachers and coaches, and just The ripple effect to this case has been really and truly horrific and devastating to a lot of people. I hope we never, ever have to report on anything like this again. And I hope that little girl is at peace.
The details of cases like Victoria's are difficult to listen to and even more difficult to talk about. But it's important to remember and honor victims like her whose lives ended too soon. We hope you'll take some time to remember Victoria and others like her from your communities. Share your thoughts with us in our Facebook group, Conversations from the Middle. I'm Alexandra Stone. Thanks for watching.